Well, welcome back to the podcast. We have a special guest with us tonight. We have my dad here, and he's telling Bigfoot stories, true Bigfoot stories. We hope. No, I'm just kidding. We have he's here to tell us stories. We heard his stories growing up, and that is what we're going to get into tonight. My name is Sidelinik. This is Marcus, and you're listening to Fallen Hour Radio. And that was hard.
You got to slow down. He tries to talk too fast. Everything in one breath, and then he always gets tongue-tied and has to do it over.
Yeah.
Right.
You are now listening to Fallen Hour Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Sidelinik. This is Marcus, and you're listening to Fallen Hour Radio. Well, welcome back. And tonight's episode, we just mentioned what we're talking about, but we want to mention our Patreon, Taisha Olette. And this has been a running thing now. I'm trying to get that name right and stuck in my head. Last time I said it was Taisha. I'm not even going to give it breath. But Taisha Olette, thank you very much for sponsoring the podcast. And let's move into the podcast time. So where do you want to start? First of all, let's get your take, Marcus, because last time you surprised me in the podcast saying you believed aliens were a totally different thing. So let's get into what you think Bigfoot is.
He's mad because he wants aliens to be like the movie Aliens or something. Like these big old lizard creatures walking around.
I know, first time I heard a realization, Mark's like, I don't think they're like a being or what we think they are. And I was like, hold on a second. You never said this before.
I said I don't think they are what Hollywood portrays them to be.
Right. Well, I don't believe
That's
that either.
What I said.
Yeah.
And then he freaked out because him and aliens is everything to him. I said there's probably something out there that's living, but I don't think it's what Hollywood makes it.
So, what's your take on Bigfoot then?
I have no clue. That is one thing that always gets me. All these different stories and stuff I hear. It just, I don't know. It's something that still confuses me. It's hard to say.
Oh, interesting.
So okay. I don't know if it's like, like a primate type being or like half man, half primate or something like, I don't know, some kind of spirit or something.
Right. So you just kind of.
Or something, something along that line.
So you just kind of opted out of that one then.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
Well, let's get started. Why don't we start talking about your experiences with? Well, first off, I want to say that let's give a little bit of backstory of who you are, which is kind of funny to say.
Yeah.
How you grew up, how you got your name. Your name is Al Takes the Horse, but you go by Champ.
Yeah.
How do we get that name?
My grandmother named me Champ because my dad was a semi-pro champ boxing. And it was really hard to live up to that name because boxer and you're just a little clumsy kid. And but he made me a boxer. And then I became a champion when I was 17 years old.
Oh.
And then after that, I didn't know there was a scout that was watching, and the time came when I got a job at the highways, and I started to see her mom, and then here they came and they had a contract. I couldn't believe how long that thing was. I think we still have it.
Wow.
And Dad, he says, this guy wants to talk to you, and he walked off, and then he started talking to me, and I was like, and I was looking at him, and he says, we've been watching you. He says, the fight, the people that are scouts out there, he said they look for a certain style and punching power. He said, you have it. Some of these people are headhunters. You're not. You work on the body, break it down, and then you knock them out. And he says, that's people we look for. And he says, you have a heavy hit. Every punch you threw is heavy. He says, and we notice it's a power punch.
Wow.
And so you need to mold that, and that's what I do. He says, I go and find who, and we don't like headhunters. And he says, and he laid this contract out, and he says, the camp that if we do this right now, he says the camp you're going to be under is Thomas the Hitman Hearn's camp. He says you'll be trained under their supervision for 6 months straight without a fight. And then your promoter is Don King.
Wow.
Don King will start promoting you out. He says, and the thing I'm going to tell you, he says, they have a thing about Don King because he takes most of your purse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
But he'll make you a millionaire.
Wow.
But it's just standing with it and staying with it because he's the one that's promoting you and stuff like that. And it sounded real good. And then I got married.
I remember watching fights like growing up.
We ruined his dreams,
I
Marcus.
remember watching like Holyfield or Tyson fighting, and Mom would be in the kitchen and Dad would be sitting there. That could have been me. I turn around and looks at Mom. But then I married your mom.
Oh my gosh.
But I fought till I was 30. I go and Grandpa will, take me out there but nobody will fight me. And I was breaking ribs, breaking jaws and everything. And then they get to next to a smoker or to another fight and they're out the back door and I go out there and raise my hand and it was hard. By the time I get in my 30s, I was working at the mine and I finally let it go. But that's when the Thursday night fights was coming on.
Oh, yeah.
And Grandpa says, let's go check that out, see how that is. And they just now doing it. And that was without a ring doctor.
Oh, jeez.
People off the streets.
Oh, wow.
And you have TB, AIDS, and all kinds of disease that were out there. And, my dad says, you have to not have a bloody fight. You have to knock them out, because we did go watch the fight, and it was oh God, these kids were off the streets. Some had fighting before. Some are, one of those Sunday punch they can throw, and they get in there and they get all tore up, and we were watching them and like, man, I says, man, I can clear this out. I said, I can win. And my dad says, no, it's not it. They don't have a ring doctor. He says, and you're going to kill somebody. He says, you're going to tear somebody. And we've seen some ex-boxers in there too that were champions. And we shook hands and stuff, hey, you going to do, going to box? And I said, no, we're just checking it out. And he says, well, I'll be fighting here in about half hour. And oh my God, he tore that guy up. It's because experience.
Yeah, you know how to box.
Yes.
Wow.
So I just let it go finally and just stayed and working and providing for you guys.
30 years later, and you're close to retirement now at the mine, right?
And he could have let go of it 5 years ago. It's, Mom says, how long can you go?
Just keep working.
Yeah. So I just hang on.
Go until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Do the podcast till I die.
Do the podcast so nobody listens anymore.
Yeah.
That guy's still doing that?
I know. He's in his 90s. He still got that microphone. They see his microphones?
He still has the same mic.
He's talking about Facebook still. Now I'll probably be doing all my stuff until I'm old.
Probably. And you're going to make me do it too. Keep dragging me into
Gosh,
do
man.
another one.
With your body, though, you're going to break down before that. Every time I always tell the story. It's every time he comes in the house. Every time I answer the door, he always has the same face. He's like,
just look tired.
like, man. Well, let's get into your experiences. What's the top story you would tell on the podcast that you don't believe anybody else has lended this sort of element or insight to Bigfoot?
The funny thing, back in the day, you don't really hear anything about it. And once in a while you hear it and you ask questions about it. And the time came when I was 9 years old with my grandfather. And we went and fed the horses and probably about 4 a.m, cows, and we're coming back, and it was during the fair, and it was just when you know how where the sun comes up, it's just kind of blue color before it comes up,
Yeah.
and you can see.
It lights up the sky before you even see the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're driving along the side road there and going to the camp, and that's when he came out of the brush, and I was like, just like, what is Grandpa? What is that? That's when he says, "What? This is what it came out of his mouth. Is what's he doing here in Crow?" And he knew.
He said it in Crow.
He knew.
And people that don't know, Crow is a language, a Native American language.
Right.
Yeah.
So he said in this our language, and I mean, he knew about it,
Yeah.
and that thing was huge. He walked across, didn't look both ways, just walked across. Kind of wonder if we hit it, what would happen? He would tear the truck apart, or But he slammed the brakes, almost hit him. He went over and crossed the fence, and it was surprising, how we crossed. He was tall, but you know how he had to hold the fence down and stuff? He just walked like it wasn't there.
Just
Wow.
walked right over it.
Yes, he was just like walking, and then a semi jackknife almost hit him, and he stopped, and cars on the other side that were coming the other way, there was 6 cars altogether, and a semi and us, and we all stopped, and he went across the road and into a really dark brush toward the river was, and that was the last time we seen that thing.
Wow.
And
So it was it like the freeway, right?
yes,
Right,
the
the
freeway.
freeway.
Yeah, that's where semi almost hit him on the other side.
This was in Crow, right?
Yeah, and everybody got off. Everybody got off. Think of it, these days, your camera phones, they would have been on there.
All
but
over.
Yeah.
back then, nobody carried it.
And to give people context about where Crow is, this is where the Battle of Little Bighorn took place
Yeah.
in this area.
Yeah.
This is where Custer's last stand was, and a lot of history.
So which way was he going? Was he going toward like where
He
the
was,
fair is? and
he was
stuff,
going
or
from east to west.
east to west.
Yeah, straight across. And that's when he says, what's he doing here? That means from the mountains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it don't matter where, the thing is, it just call it the thing because they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
People don't, is it an animal? They don't act like an animal, sure walking like a man.
Do you think Native Americans know more about what the Bigfoot would be or what it is?
The old people, the old ones do. And that I asked my dad a question when I got older, because when I seen it again, this time I had a chance to shoot it, and my brother-in-law didn't want me to shoot him because we were logging that time, and he said, if you wound it, don't know if he'll go down there and start killing everybody. And I mean, he was only about less than 50 yards in the trees, and I had the scope right on him.
So why don't you start from the beginning of that story and tell that story?
Okay, we were going into Northern Cheyenne to get some gas and stuff, and for our chainsaws, and I told the guys, and they said, all right, and just keep busy and we'll come right back. So, all right. So we were coming back, got to the fence, and looked like a Jeep trail, but it wasn't a Jeep trail, it was a cow trail, but it had two, like a Jeep trail. I said, I think I can make that. And he says, I sure like to find out where that goes. If we won't hit any trees, they're kind of scattered. All right. So we climbed it, and it was steep. Climbed it, and with a little truck that was real quiet. It was a 6-cylinder S10. And you couldn't even hear it running. I think that's why we walked up on that Bigfoot. We didn't even know he was there. We just got on top on a flat and got to a clearing where I was there before, I think 5 years or before, that we were hunting, and we shot a deer, and I took the AR out, and I was gonna see if I can see anything, and the wind was blowing from north to south, And when I was looking down, I was like, they probably smell me, because deer they're gone,
Yeah.
And I was looking right through the brush, and that's when I smelled coming this way, and he said, Champ. And I says, my reaction is, did you fart? And I was like, still looking around, and he kept saying, Champ. And it stunks like slough and bad shit smell. And I turned and looked, and he had his scope or his rifle to, what he was seeing. And I was like, oh, maybe it's a, elk or something. So
Yeah.
I put that AR down and walked over and went. And he says, look right through there. You'll see it. Look right through there. And he was saying really quiet. So I grabbed that rifle and just kind of aimed where he was looking at. And I started looking, and then it caught me. It was like a person. His hair on his face. It's just like a mechanic grease kind of face. But his eyes is what caught me. His eyes look like a wolf or something. Kind of like real mean look.
Yeah.
Wow.
And these when I noticed all the years that people talk about Bigfoot and watching these shows that they say that he looks like apish, and no, not what I seen. It looked kind of almost human, but more like a kind of like a werewolf looking eyes. In those movies that they see those werewolves and all, it looked almost like that, but more massive. And I loaded that gun. It was a 0.6. And I says, which way is this pulling? He says, it's pulling to the right just a little bit. And so I pulled it to the left and just gonna stick it right in his ear. And he kept watching the guys working down there, or they're way down there. And he was watching, he was curious. And I just kept my eyes on her, and then he started pleading with me. He says, don't shoot it. You never know what's going to happen. He might go down there and kill everybody. He might hurt it. He says he might not, don't know if this will kill it,
Yeah.
He just got scared. Me, man, I'm going to get this sucker, I know.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, it was just a blink of an eye. It disappeared. I was watching through the scope. It was just a blink of an eye. It just gone. I was like, where'd it go? And then the smell just started to go away.
Wow.
And we sat there for about 20 minutes and just kept looking and kept looking and looking and looking. And then he says, let's go check where he was standing. So we walked over where he was standing, and he was kind of watching from a limb. And I said, is that the limb? I stuck that gun way up there, and it's like, holy cow, that thing's about close to 9 feet, 8 feet tall. And I was like, holy cow. And where he was standing, you can see it was crushed down a little bit. I said, look at that, and he's, oh man, and then that's when he noticed hairs on the side of that tree. And he got them. And they stunk.
Stay here, smell this.
These shows, they show little hairs. Nah, this thing had long hair.
Was it a big chunk of it, or was it?
Yeah, about that long.
Wow.
And it had kind of like a dark to reddish color.
Then
I heard they had like reddish hair.
Yeah.
And
They said the aggressive ones have reddish hair.
right. And our speculation on why some Bigfoots have red hair and some Bigfoots have like dark black hair or brownish hair.
It's probably the female and male, I bet you.
Yeah, it could be that, or we're thinking is maybe possibly the more aggressive ones or the ones that eat meat primarily are red.
You know what? If the male ones are the reddish ones, that makes sense, because if you look at that Patterson film, the one that he caught walking, that was a female.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
That does make
that
sense.
was a
now.
It was
Yep.
dark
Right.
hair.
Yep. See how the way it looked? That the years that came when they analyzed that thing and they said, oh, it's wearing a suit and this and that. Back in the day, even movie people said that had to be a good, but that's not our time.
Right.
It's right now.
It's
They
like
can
the
make a
best.
suit like that,
Yeah.
but not that to
And
make.
this
Yeah,
film
they
took
were saying
place in the 60 or 70. What was it? It was
60s.
Like
No, it was the
60s.
50s
So
or
late
60s. I thought it was
Right.
like
Yeah.
50s.
And they didn't have those prosthetics back then.
No.
And they couldn't because they were saying that the ratio from the hip to the shoulder was off with the man's and
Yeah.
the legs to the feet.
And
The
way
arms-
it
the arms
moved
were
was-
long.
yeah, and the arms were
and
long.
the way it moved was too fluent.
Right.
Yeah, and it wasn't short.
And the arms were a big thing because they said the joint on a human's arm is like halfway.
Yeah.
This thing had long bicep, and then
They were flexing.
Yeah, the bends was down
You
way
can
down
even
there.
see like the muscle.
They were
and
flexing.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they said that there's no way anybody can make a suit that good
right.
with what they have.
It's
And not
impossible.
in that time. They said even the professionals that make the best in the world, they were saying that we can't even make a suit that good. They
Wow.
said that thing has to be real.
And that even if they were to try to make something like that, that suit would have been well out of anybody's budget.
yeah.
That would have been like some massive money someone's spending just to make a hoax. And this guy that recorded it's not someone who would who had the means to do something like that, right?
Oh, it's kind of weird.
He was a filmmaker though.
Yes.
He was a filmmaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they thought that's what. But when
see-
they says there is no way to make a suit like
Yeah,
that.
he caught it
Right.
by accident.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think one of them was trying to go find it, and the other one didn't want to go. He's
Yeah.
like, I am not going in there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I sent him a video a while back, and it was actually stabilized. They stabilized the video, and it's in 4K,
Right.
and it's just so clear. It's that much more creepy, and you can see in the background, you can see a couple faces, like there's smaller ones in the back, and so that's probably what it was. It was probably they said it was a female,
Right. And they said it had breasts
Yeah,
too.
it did.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
It
you-
showed.
So it does kind of make sense that the males would be like red and,
And
the
probably
females
really
are
aggressive.
Kind of dark
like
color. Yeah.
darker colored.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're saying those ones are aggressive. And like a lot of reports that I've heard and found of, them seeing these reddish colored, Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever you want to call them, they're finding elk and stuff in trees, way up in the trees. And no person, if you've ever had to drag an elk, you're not swinging that thing over a freaking
Oh my god.
tree branch that's like 10 feet up.
I wonder what's their thing
And they
about doing
always,
that.
always break their legs off. For some reason, they always break their legs off.
Wow.
It's just, I don't know, it's just weird, man. It's just how they
What's
are.
I mean, why do they put them in
Just
trees?
throw it up there and come get it for later, I guess. So nothing else can eat it?
All right,
Yeah,
but
so-
bears can climb trees.
Yeah, bears can.
Yes, they
seen-
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they're not
gonna
gonna carry
a
a-
shoulder and climb up
Yeah,
the
they can't
tree.
do that. No.
That's they usually bite theirs and they drag it.
Yeah.
Right. People think that I seen this video that says people think they can hide from bear in a tree.
No
there was
way,
a hunter and he had his with those chairs, those posts that he
Yeah.
had up there, and he was hunting, and he had a camera set up there, and he sees this bear coming, and he has his sights on. He's going to shoot it, and then it just takes off of that tree, and you hear the all the way up. It gets to him, and he's in camouflage, and he's hiding like this, and that thing is creeping like this around. Doesn't see him, and then it goes right back down. And that guy's after he gets to the ground, he's like,
No, like when I was a kid and we went on a field trip, man, I was young. And I still remember this. We went to this one place and we actually saw a bear in the tree. It was climbing a tree. It was a little bear and it was stuck up in the tree.
right, there was one that climbed outside of our house. We used to live in Grandma's house. Remember that?
Yeah.
There was a bear up in the tree,
Yeah.
made it inside of crow.
So weird, man.
Yeah. When they get hungry, they come from the mountains, and they'll start going through wild us by a tree line, and at night they'll come down and start going through the garbage cans.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to mention. Oh, go ahead.
I get it. I mean, I get Uncle's logic, not wanting to shoot the thing because you don't know what that bullet's going to do to it. But at the same time, like, I wish he shot it, because if you just pissed it off,
Yeah.
you guys are in an S10, it could just roll that truck over.
Yeah. And I mean, and people have this. There's so many speculation on Bigfoot, what he can be. People think that he could be an alien, like an alien figure. And Marcus always gets, always like, you stupid. He's going into aliens again.
Like freaking beam down to Bigfoot. He just starts walking
They
around.
think that he could be
You
either
think Bigfoot's flying a ship?
like extraterrestrial. We heard the Cain and Abel, or the Cain and Bible story, Cain and
Yeah.
Abel. We heard that theory of where Cain. What was, go ahead, tell it theory.
What that after Cain was punished, he was cursed to walk the earth, and somebody in the Bible actually met Cain face to face, and they said he was hairy, he was all full of hair, and so there's a theory that maybe Bigfoot is actually Cain.
Right, and we
So that's what people are saying. Maybe that's why you don't see him everywhere at the same time. You always see him here, then you see him way over there, and see him somewhere
right,
else.
but we did talk to a minister, and who was very scholar-like with his readings.
Yep.
A man by the name of John Weatherly.
Yeah.
And we gave him this theory. We said, is it possible that this is Cain?
Yeah.
And he said, well, it's not possible, but it's not possible because the curse was broken later on in scripture.
Yeah.
And he made sure that we got that point. But he said it's
Yeah.
possible, and this is crazy coming from a preacher,
Yeah.
a minister of his stature who doesn't mess around with what he studies or preaches. And he says that it's possible that this can be Cain's descendants.
So
And-
that right there, I was like, mind blown. Because I was like, yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. And when I heard him say that, I was like, yeah, like, even mom said the same thing.
Right.
Like, what could be his descendants.
Right. Which is, I don't know. Have you heard that theory out there like that it can be Cain's descendants?
I've only heard it like with people I talked to.
Right.
I brought that theory up, and I told them that, Cain's curse is broken, and all of that, and they even kind of thought the same thing. Well, what if it's his descendants? Because once you
Right.
hit that point, your mind starts rolling, and you start thinking the same thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And it would kind of make sense that, people find Bigfoot society or they think they bury the dead, right?
Yeah.
Is that this is the reason why nobody finds bodies of Bigfoot?
They start to find them now.
Really? Where they're buried, right?
Yes, I watched Discovery and channels and stuff, and I start to see that they're finding big people. It's even in the Bible.
Right. Nephilim.
Yeah. And that's when they said, why don't you find bones? It's because they're burying their own, and they find them not like a person buries
Right.
a person. They just dig the hole and they just bury them. And if they die, if their other ones die, they just bury them where they want to bury them. So when they dug up the ground up where these big tall skeletons are, and you can see they're not like side by side. They're kind of all
Right.
like all over the place.
Yes, and they're huge.
Kind of like in a hurry, do you think?
Yeah.
Bury their dead?
Yeah.
Well, what's weird is that's really human-like.
Right.
Like, what else out there does that?
Yeah. Bury
Buries
their
their
own.
own.
There's a saying, especially in history and archaeologists when they study the past civilizations,
Yeah.
is that the point to say that they're civilized or they're a civilization and are human-like is either burying the dead or fix joints. So if they broke a limb, then they fix it.
Yeah.
And they have like a cast or a
Try to
bandage.
mend it
Yeah,
and
and
wrap
that's
it.
like a big old pointer to that this thing is more human than anything else.
Yeah, it's not like a dog that'll just run off and lick it.
Right.
It actually tries to fix itself.
I think I want to talk about these tunnels that people are, now you were mentioning that they have speculation that they're traveling through tunnels or using the tunnels
Yeah.
around the world.
Yes. The thing is, when I asked my grandfather, then I says, "Where do they hide?" This was years later, before he passed away, and he says they're in the ground. And then years later, because we see tunnels and stuff in the mountains,
Right.
Yeah.
and everything, nothing of it. I thought it was bear or something, bear den or nothing, And here, now you see these shows that they're finding places that, that tracks are going into. And it kind of like, it is true,
Right.
and stuff, because I asked him, I says, why do they disappear? I says, you don't see them right away. After you see them, they kind of like disappear. And he says they have a place that they go in the ground. He says that's where they hide. He says you might find one or you might right past one, you won't even know that hole exists there.
Yeah, it
The
could
ground.
be sitting there looking at you. And you walked right by it. Yeah, that's gross.
It'd be a bad horror movie. It grabs your leg and drags you into one of those.
That'd be a nightmare.
And I want to mention that this podcast has been a long time coming. People have
Yeah.
been wanting us to do podcasts about Bigfoot for about 2 years now.
Since the very first season,
Right.
they're like asking us constantly, do a Bigfoot one,
Right.
do a Bigfoot one. And I was like, well, we have all these stories that we've
Right.
heard growing up. And I was like, just waiting to do it. And
Right. And we have all our own speculation, but we wanted to like wait it out and let all these other podcasts do their things about Bigfoot and then go in there and put ours in off season almost, or beginning of the Bigfoot summer season. So
The thing is that when I watched their shows, and they're saying that they migrate, I was like, they're not elk.
right.
That's crazy.
yeah.
They just move along, and then they come to that spot. It's just like a mountain lion. It stays in how many miles is that? 10 mile or no, 50-mile radius.
Well,
And it stays in that spot all the time. It's kind of like that, kind of moves around, just kind of stay out of trouble and don't get shoot at and stuff. All the time that things happen like this, people got cameras but didn't have their guns on them.
Yeah.
right.
And I had the chance. And I mean, I just wanted to shoot it so bad that, because I seen it before. Will it take a bullet?
Yeah.
You don't know. Odd 6 is a pretty good gun that short distance.
Especially in the ear.
Right.
Yeah. It would have just shot right through the head or knock it down. And then it would have been right there.
Yeah.
End of story. Then they are real. See, when growing up, you hardly hear that. And it's just that these older people know, but they feel embarrassed to talk about it. They talk about it among their relatives. That's it. But when I seen it, and I told you guys, Mom, and I told a couple of relatives, and they laughed at me. But that was with my grandfather. He was well respected on the res and anywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
And coming out of his mouth like that, it tells you.
Yeah.
He knows about it. And then when I asked my dad, he says this goes all the way to the 600s.
Wow.
And then when I looked on Mysteries of the Unknown, I think that's what it was called, it showed Bighorn Mountains.
Wow.
I mean, like these mountains, Bighorn Mountains, the Priors, it's just nothing but there is a lot of caves and trails, like literally caves and underground trails everywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally, they're everywhere out there.
And a lot of
so
these
it would
mountains
make sense.
are really treacherous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of big drop offs, and it's
Yeah.
really hard to get to some areas.
Yeah.
It's steep.
Right.
Yeah, there is just even like the roads going through them. There'd be a drop off that drop like how far down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Think
there's
of it-
trees coming out of there that are massive.
Yeah.
It's scary to drive on those roads.
Yeah. It's just a thing that you see something like this. It's just like some people look for it, but don't see it. It's just as one of those times that you don't, think about nothing and just like boom, like, oh man, look at that,
Yeah.
And people don't have their cameras on. They're just like staring so bad, the
Yeah.
next thing, boom, gone. But I heard the howling.
Yeah.
And that one recording I heard, it was the exact howling, and it just like, wow, it was a memory that came back. And I was with you guys' uncle. He's gone, But that time we were logging, and we heard some, crunching and stuff like it was going through heavy brush. So we kind of went over it, and it was a tall hill too. And we were messing around. We were taking a break, and I seen a gold metal kind of into the brush or on the grass there, and I kind of, what is that? I went over there and I was going to kick it with my foot and didn't move, and here was a boundary. And here I was like, hey, check this out, and then that's when I heard that crackling and all that, and I was like, that sounds like an elk coming, We didn't have guns on us. And so we walked to the edge like that, and we're trying to see where it's moving. Then it yelled, and I was like, whoa. And then we looked at it, and we just took off. Grabbed ourselves, took off, and I said, shall we tell the guys? And the one that was logging, and my uncle, you guys, his grandpa was working with us that time. He was on the landing, limbing, and we didn't tell him. We didn't say it. We kept it to ourselves about that. And they didn't hear it because they couldn't hear all us cutting down there on one side, but the yelling was, he was right there somewhere in the brush. Yeah. And it was breaking and crackling, and he was coming at us, but we couldn't see it. And we took off, and then we got to the bottom, and he says, hey, we're done. I says, I think we'll go home now. And we talked Uncle to go, and because he was driving, and he's all right, because he's always with us, he's game when we want to go somewhere. So, and then here, we never said anything to him either about that yelling.
That's just a stupid scene to like show. Yeah, we're ready to go now. Hey guys, I'm kind of tired.
Yeah, I mentioned this before. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but we talked about it before. That I've heard that before too. That howling, and we were actually camping last year up at Tongue River.
Right,
and that's we were at Tongue River, and I woke up. My dog woke me up around maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, and the sun was barely coming up, and she woke me up. I took her out. I'll take her out and use the bathroom and all that. Started walking her around, and I came up to this hill, and I can overlook the whole river, and that river is big, and it sounded like something on the other side of the river just screaming and howling, and it sounded exactly like those audios that everybody'd always send me.
Wow.
Like even we had audios from Idaho and stuff sent to us, and that's exactly what it sounded like. And my dog started whining and crawling back like she didn't want to go that way. I kept trying to bring her up that hill because I wanted to like look over the river and see if I can see anything. Yeah. I was standing there for almost a half hour. I was standing there just constantly howling.
Wow.
And nobody that was camped out there was awake. It was just me and
disgusting.
My dog. And I was standing up on this hill, just staring over the river, just listening to this thing.
And you want to go back there?
Yeah. And then my dog, was standing by me, and I turned around, like, all right, let's go. She was already halfway to the camp, running and dove into the tent. So I stood up there by myself for a little while longer, just listening. And I didn't even think to go back to grab my phone, And finally, when I thought about it, I was like, oh man, I ran back, went to grab my phone. And right when I grabbed my phone, it stopped, didn't hear it anymore. I was like, I put my phone away, and I woke up Sarah. I told her, hey, something's howling. Can you hear it? And then she woke up and she'd kind of listen, would be quiet. And right when she'd roll over, it started howling again. I was like, man, nobody's going to hear this thing. And what's funny is I got back to town. When we're up there, we have no cell signal. And I got back to town, and I got a message from our sister who lives literally a few miles from where we were camped.
Oh, right, yeah.
In a place called Bernie. And she said that a bunch of people in Bernie saw Bigfoot, saw him out there wandering around and howling and screaming out there.
Why?
And I was just, that gave me the chills. Like, so that is what I saw. They said, yeah, or that is what I heard, because she said a bunch of people around there were seeing him.
Wow.
So I was like, man, that creeped me out, man. Like made the hairs on my neck stand up and everything, just hearing that. And I didn't want to go back to sleep. I was just laying in the tent, just staring up, just thinking, what if that thing comes over here? But that freaked me out.
I want to mention before we get into your next story, because there's one I wanted to hear about you and these guys at a cabin.
In the mountains.
Right. Before we get to that one, you said, we heard this story before, and after your first initial almost shooting Bigfoot, you were going to go back out there, and this time you're going to carry a rifle with you. But you didn't want to spook anybody else.
Remind me.
You were, when you had him in your sights, and he disappears, and you guys were going to go back out there again to do more logging, and you told Ben, I think, that you wanted to carry a rifle on you the whole time.
Yeah, okay. When I was, I told him, I says, I don't want that when I get up to the top there, because it's really steep area where we're knocking those trees down. And I told him, I says, I'm going to carry my gun on me. And it was an AR-15 and 30 rounds in it.
Wow.
And they were for target shooting, the steel point.
Mm-hmm.
And here I talked to my dad about, putting some hollow points in there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I carried some hollow points.
Yeah.
And because this would just be like a mosquito when he just shooting was straight,
Yeah.
And
That'll
so,
actually blow a potato hole out of the other side of it. So.
yeah, so I carried the gun on my back, and I had an extra clip on me, and I had we call that the sling on it, and I had it right on my back, so I was comfortable with it, and I started logging, and I was just, after I seen that thing, I knew that sucker was watching us from somewhere, and it just kept my eyes and kept on my boys there, watching the boys and everything, and just kept, and I got further and further, and then I stopped and started checking my area out and watched the boys, and he said, do you want to ever tell these guys that we seen them watching them? He says, no. He says, they're going to quit on you. And I never told them that. And one of them was my closest cousin that passed away here a couple years ago. And I told him that. He was just staring at me for a long time. He's big as I am, and he's like looking at me. And are you kidding me? I said, no. I says, he was watching you guys. I said,
You told that to him before he passed away.
yeah,
Finally.
yeah. And I told him, and he was just all. And then I asked him, because he never talks about ghosts or nothing. It's always horses and stuff and welding and all that, and back in the day, sometimes he'll bring into just to laugh, so I bring it out and he started laughing about, memories. But the time I came, I asked him of what I seen at the mine when I seen those tracks. That was, that sucker had to just walked there when I was going to that, the come out, they call it the greenhouse. Here, these other guys were over, all the trucks were parked where the other ones were. And I was like, man, I don't want to go over there. So I took the one that was about a half a mile away, and I had a big machine loader. And I was going over there, and it lit up the whole place. And the snow was just bad where you couldn't even see, I think about 20 feet. Mm. And you can barely see the road, And we have bright lights like that you can barely see. And I just kept going until I got to that. And when I got closer to it, you can see some kind of like, what is that? But the closer I got, you can see the strides of whatever. And I thought it was maybe a elk or something, because we got a lot of elk there. And, how that kind of hopped across the road. And it was right by that commode. Maybe about 5 feet. His tracks were right there. Oh. And then there's a kind of like a little ditch there, and then another ditch a little bit, but not bad. And it comes that way in the field. And when I got close to it, guess what? There were feet. It came off the spoil, they call it. And it came down right across the road and right by that commode and hit the ditch and going towards the tree line, going south. And couldn't see. You can see all the trees a little here and there, and you couldn't tell which one it is, but I just stood there and trying to see where it went. The tracks just faded out, and because how far I can see.
Oh, wow.
And I stood there, and I needed to go bad. So,
and then you peed your pants.
No, what I did was I spun the loader around and got as close as I can it was right close to it, and I was looking in the mirror, and I said, okay, that's close enough. And where I got off the stair, it was right there, and I got in there, used it real quick, used that sanitizer real quick, and it shot out of there. Do you want to look that way or this way? I just got up on my loader, and then I looked around, and I was like, okay. And then when I checked my surrounding, I grabbed a flashlight, and I wish I had my pocket phone with me. I kind of got on, and I looked at the foot, and I put my feet right next to it, and it was, looked like 20s around there, his feet, And I was like, are these really feet or what? And then the other print was sitting there like that. You can see almost a little kind of toes in it. I was like, okay. And then where it jumped to the other like that, it was a stride. And I was like, whoa. And I looked up that hill. And he had long strides coming down. And it was steep too, huh? It just boom, 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 it's gone.
Wow.
And then I mentioned it. I told that one, my relative, and hey, there's some big tracks where your greenhouse is, because he uses that all the time, and he didn't say anything. And then he asked me, did you really see it? I says, yes, go see it. The snow's probably covering it up now, but you can still see where because it was about 1.5 feet of snow, huh? But you can see the indentations in there. And he never did go over there.
This morning, you caught what we think now had to have been, I mean, this is like a massive footprint that you caught on your phone.
Yeah.
And this was this morning out at the mine on your loader.
Yeah. I was, my loader's about a story high to the cab. And I look for prints and stuff, because I want to really catch one, because I see them on the main road where coming to work. A couple of times it was the only tracks I seen there, but this time I caught it. It was, you could see a heavy footprint with toes in it.
Right.
And I wasn't sure. I was like, and I got my phone on there, and I kind of walked up to it, and man, he was maybe about 5 foot straight, huh? And
Wow.
where it landed.
Wow, that's a pretty big stride.
It like jumped and then just right over and I was like, I wonder when this happened, because it had to be that early in the morning where you can't really see. And I carry a flip phone, so but when we transferred to another phone, you can see it was a footprint.
Yeah, and we'll show that on the podcast right now, and you guys can check it out. This looks like a real legit footprint.
Like a legit footprint.
Yeah.
Like it's how massive is that thing? And
Right.
you can see the toes on it and everything.
I think we should just send Dad out there with the camera.
I know.
But it's just one of those times when you catch it or don't see anything for even a year.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're starting to see these around more.
Interesting. Creepy.
And we don't work at night no more because all the stuff that's going on, pandemic and
Right.
and all the
Cats scare you?
I was sitting here listening and then I just seen a face come this way. And it's like, oh my God.
alien. He's worried about aliens.
Dad saw my cat and he's like, boy, that's an ugly Siamese.
That's close. Don't want
Oh,
me.
cool.
Oh yeah. That creeped me out for a second.
But people need to know, because it's not a joke. It was a myth. And when that myth is seen, it makes you think.
Yeah.
Right.
And people are skeptical about it and don't believe it and go out there with no guns and everything and carrying just a pocket knife, and they walk up to that thing and it comes at them, they're going to faint or scream running.
I wonder if we see more Bigfoots around
Bigfoots?
big feet. More
What the plural
biggins.
is.
More of these creatures out towards the reservations more than we see them in like natural landscape, regular landscape.
Like I even heard some people saying that they're probably like somebody's medicine or
Right.
something.
And we did a podcast a while back called Stick Indians, and there's stories back from where our mom's family's from and where we're enrolled now, and in Washington, and they have the Stick Indian down there. And we didn't know. We had no idea what these were described as, what they look like up until
I remember
last
Mom
year.
mentioning them
Right.
all the time.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, and they're like a Bigfoot creature. And the thing about the Stick Indian is they're a protector of an area or a family.
Yeah.
So if somebody has land there and they live there, they're basically the protector of that general area.
Yeah, they
which kind of
stay out of sight though.
right, which kind of goes back like that thing you said a while back is that this Bigfoot, whatever it was, in the Crow Reservation was the protector of a mountain. That's what they believed it was.
That's what the old people, said. it's like a medicine,
Right.
and it's what they say. It says it's a strong medicine and nothing to mess with, and that's why the mountains are so quiet. Not, some of these non-natives come around, and stuff like that. It's a protector of the mountains.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember going to Idaho and speaking with someone down there, and she said that, they chased one. They tried to chase one and get a picture of it, and they were chasing it up a hill. And it was five, 6 or 7 of them, I think. I can't remember. I have to ask her again.
I think I know who you're talking
You
about.
know who I'm talking about.
I think we should get her on the podcast if she's watching.
Yeah,
She knows who she is. We see your skylight.
She ran chasing this thing up the hill, and she said this thing just stops dead in its tracks, and its head turned around like an owl and looked at him.
Yeah.
Body didn't move. The head spun around like Exorcist style, just spun around and looked at him like an owl. And the glare off the sun was red, made the eyes look like they were glowing red. So now that creeped me the hell out growing up, thinking about that, because I remember going down there and staying there with her.
I always thought about it too when I was down there.
It scared the hell out of me. Like thinking about that. I remember we'd go outside and stuff at nighttime, and I remember thinking about those. It was freaky, man. I'd get creeped out, but I remember driving down there with her. I actually drove down with her and a couple other ladies, and everybody else fell asleep but me and one other person. And she started asking me about that, like, what do you think about Bigfoot and stuff? And told her, I think there's something out there, just kind of gave her
yes,
bland,
because they're
vague.
afraid to open up,
vague answer.
Right.
say to and then they don't want to be laughed at.
Yeah.
That's why he said it that way.
Yeah. So kind of ask you just to see, kind of fill it out,
Right.
And then she started telling me a story that was just, man, that was like one of my favorite stories. She told me that her grandpa had a cabin, up in the mountains, and she said that there's this lake that's down at the bottom of this mountain, and she said that he had one of these big picture windows, and every morning he'd be standing in front of that window looking out, every morning watching the sun come up. She said she'd sleep in the living room, she'd roll over and see him standing there every morning. And finally, one morning, she woke up and asked him, why do you always look out the window every morning? And he said, well, come up here, I'll show you. So she climbed up and sat there. She said it might have been about 10 minutes. They're sitting down. She said, you see that water down there? It's like, yeah. She said, all right, keep watching. And then she saw it coming out of the trees, walking down, all the way down to that lake. And she said it crouched down and started drinking water.
Wow.
Drinking water with his hands, and then it'd stand up. It stood there for a couple of minutes just drinking water, and then it started walking straight back up that mountain. And he told her that he comes down every morning.
Wow.
And drinks water for a couple of minutes, and then he'll go back up.
Like a routine.
Yeah.
Like he lives there.
Like he lives there. And then she told me I've never stayed at that cabin ever again.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of cabins, I think we should move into your next story.
Okay, the other one was in the main mountains up there, the big mountains, and three of us that gonna go hunting and stuff and stay overnight at a cabin up there, and it was right at the top of the mountain and overlooks everything, and so we're gonna get up early in the morning and everything. So we got up there. It was dark. No, I'm wrong. We got up there just when it was going to get dark. That's right. And there was about maybe, I think about 3 feet of snow. And it looked like somebody was there before, because you can see it was, a pickup that came through. But the snow kind of covered a little bit of it, about a foot of it. Mm. And we got there. I turned around and backed up to the cabin door. And one of the guys got off and kind of he seen something caught his eye in an opening way down there, about 600 yards, I'm pretty sure it was. And he kind of like he walked off in front of the truck about three car lengths. That's when he says, holy, shit. And he says, check it out. And so your uncle went that way, and I shut the engine off, and I walked that way. The doors were open on the pickup. And started working, and he froze, and he looked at me and had a scary, face. And I walked, and I seen an elk, and it was a big bull, and he was backing up, and he charged whatever was charging. And further I got that way, I seen it. It was a Bigfoot, and he was charging a Bigfoot. And every time it charged him, he grabbed the horns. He grabbed the horns, and then it started like this. That elk was strong, and you can see him. He was struggling a little bit, and he was tall. And the elk, I think, stand about this tall. I think almost like a horse.
Yeah, about like shoulder length.
Yeah,
Right.
Or shoulder height.
yeah, and he was tall.
Wow.
And he grabbed that, and he started struggling, and then he let go of it, and he backed up, and then the third time he came, he grabbed it and kind of like grabbed the nose, and just, you can hear it go, that was it.
Ugh.
And dropped. And that's when the other guy says, oh shit, and like that. And he looked up, and he started running. And you know how people run?
Yeah.
No, this kind of like and the snow was deep, and he was going through like it was nothing.
Wow.
Oh, God.
And he was coming, and we were still froze. We had guns enough to shoot at it and shoot at it and shoot at it, and they froze. And I said, what are you going to do? And he says, let's get out of here. And oh my God, and we all ran to the truck, and by that time he was halfway.
Oh, man.
And we took off. I says, keep an eye on him because I got to watch the road and the ruts and all. Had to stay in the ruts. If you get out of the ruts, you're stuck. And we took off, and man, he's turning. He's following us. Oh my God. And I was like, oh man, I kept trying to see. And you can see him between the tree lines and stuff. And he was the road goes kind of like a U shape and goes on the other side, and he's trying to cut us off.
Yeah. Like he could see where you're going, and he was going to cut you off.
Yes.
Scary.
And then I stood on that treater, and we were going pretty good and on. He said, don't lose it. And they're all freaking out and on. I came around that corner, and I didn't want to look. I just kept my eye on the road, and came off the mountain. And I think it was about 40 minutes, got to the bottom, and we were quiet all the way through. Not even a peep, nothing. Just didn't say nothing. And we got on the main road and the highway, and we went maybe about 10 miles. And I finally, one of them had to urinate, so we stopped, and he says, can you get off of me with a gun? I laughed, and he was serious. Oh my God.
I can't watch my six while I take a piss.
So I grabbed the rifle, and I got off, and I stood there while he was taking a leak on the other side. And I just kept, just like, but it was still, the fear was with us. It turned aggressive.
Wow.
Yeah. It didn't just watch us or anything. And my mind is, shoot at it.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. That's all I heard. When he, said that, and it's scary, he was scared. And me and Ben been through this before. And then the next one, the story after that same guy, he went up to the mountains, I think a year later with some friends. Unloaded his truck, all the rifles and everything. And he said, the boys froze. And he said, what's going on? And he came out of the cabin and turned, and he said, that thing was standing right there
Oh, God.
by the cabin. And he said, that's all it took.
Oh my God.
He said, we ran. It's right. He said that we were backed up to the cabin because we unloaded, he said. Rifles, everything. And they froze, and it's like, and we didn't say a word. He said, it just ran to the pickup, and they ran, and we jumped in. He said, we took off. And he just stood there.
Whoa.
He said, and started going, and he says, can you see him? And he said, no, it's too dark now, because it was at night. And he said, and you know, the story of that I didn't catch, but that story I caught where he talked about it too. You know, his, he's a friend, but to your guys' uncle. And when they came off the mountain, those guys went home. Mm-hmm. They didn't care about their guns. All their stuff they took up there. They took foods and everything. They were going to stay there weekend. And they got, it was in the fall because it was cool outside. And I was visiting your uncle, just taking a breeze on the doors, just boom, 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 and on. It didn't stop. And it's like, holy cow. And he jumped over there and opened the door, and then I heard the voice, and I knew it was him. I need to talk to you outside. And he started freaking out. And I'm like, so they went outside, and then pretty soon he came in. He looked at me. And I looked at him. I says, what is it? If either one of our relatives got killed, or a friend, or something else. And it was that something else. He says, champ, you want to go with us? I says, where? He said, up to the top. I looked at him. I says, why? Why did he freak out? I want to know. He says, that thing was waiting for him up there. He said he was right next to the cabin. And I was like, we already did this. Had a chance to shoot it. I says, you talked me out of it. I says, no. And I walked out.
Wow.
Yeah. I'd rather be seeing this thing during the day, not at night. You know? Yeah,
it's that much freakier,
yes.
Especially because if you lose him out of your sight, you don't know where the hell he's gonna be.
Right.
Yeah.
Just pop out of the darkness, just a hand.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were saying this is we mentioned this last time, but we didn't. The last podcast we did, we screwed it up and it's gone now. But,
Cedel lost it. Don't say we. There's no we.
There was a realization that our uncle still has that Bigfoot hair.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And
but when I ask him, when there's other people there, he says, how about that Bigfoot? And he says, what Bigfoot?
oh my gosh.
That would piss me off.
Oh.
I don't know if we'll ever get him to talk or.
He says, what are you talking about? You know, I mean, he puts this stupid look on his face like he's like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, he does that to me every time. Oh my God, I just quit right there. But he had the strands.
Well, because I want to go see them.
I wanted to.
I want to see if he's. I don't know if he'll be open to it or getting on the podcast.
We sat there in the same house while they told these stories.
Right.
Even hearing them come from him.
Right.
All the time. I remember there was once where we went up outside of Hardin, just up on the hill, and we were just up enough to see Olive Crow, and there was a thunderstorm going on, and we were talking about it. It was me, Calvin, Joey, and Uncle Ben. And we were just sitting there talking about it, and he was telling us about it, telling us the stories. And then he said, the truck kind of moved, and he was like, looking back, what is that, And then just heard him scream, and a hand in there grabbing him. And he was screaming like something was pulling him out. He put a glove on when we weren't looking. He put a glove on and he grabbed himself. He's pulling himself out the window. We were sitting there all screaming. Thought he was going to get his head ripped off by a Bigfoot. He's sitting there dying laughing after he told us these stories just to get us creeped out. And oh man, I hated him for that.
That's freaking funny.
Oh, that scared the hell out of me. Yeah, but so I know, I've heard the stories come from him,
right?
And
but
I want to see this, I want to see what he has still.
Because, I mean, after this podcast, we want to do more podcasts with Bigfoot, and then we have our dad come back and tell. We also have UFO stories and things of that nature that you had.
The ones that really scared me were the ghost stories.
Right, and the ghost stories. I think we got to do ghost stories next. 'Cause that's a big one for me.
Yeah, I remember you used to help him clean the Crow School and stuff, and we'd go there. Me and Al would go there, and we'd stay in the gym and play basketball while they were cleaning. And I remember we'd see faces,
Right.
and stuff,
That's
and
gross.
it would creep us the hell out.
There-
Or we'd even run around.
Yeah, that one time I was working at the mine, and it was kind of once in a while I go peeking on their uncle, and the time came and I went and checked him out, and he said, "I got something to show you." And I was like, "Now what is it?" Let's go. And he grabbed his keys, a bunch of keys, and that's the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "All right, let's go." And he took off and got in his truck, and he drove because I was going to take my car. And he said, "No, we'll just take the truck." So we took off, and he didn't say a word. I know, just blabbing off on this and that, and he didn't say anything. And he kind of looked at me and, "Oh, you're going to like this kind of look, huh?" And got there and went in there and went to this little room that was smaller than a damn, we call it a closet. And that's where they keep their
DVRs,
yeah. And back then it was VHS.
VHS, yeah.
VHS before they were going to turn into that. That's the time when they started going to that, DVRs. And the thing is, these are on timers, and they don't turn on till 8 o'clock at night. And here, went into that room, closed the door. So I closed the door, and he was going, "Man, there was a bunch of them everywhere, huh?" And he knew which one it was. It's like, he found it and looked at it, and even had the time where to go to that time on the thing. He pushed that and like that, and he went, and he found it. And okay, he says, "Watch." He pushed it. We're watching. His nephew had his headphones, and he was like pushing that stinging on. Went into that room and dumped the garbage in there and kept going. And he looked this way in the hallway, and he was fine, This is an evening. And then he got past to there's a dark spot on this corner here. And he went into the Teeter's lounge, and he reached in there and grabbed the wastebasket, and he dumped that out and put it back and started going. And he's, "All right, watch to your right," he said. Next thing in, a shadow popped up ahead like this, and he was watching him.
Oh my gosh.
I said, "Are you kidding me?" And then he moved back, and he looked again, and then he popped out. He was playing with him.
Wow.
Oh, God.
And he was like, he didn't want to make no noise.
Wow.
"Are you kidding me? This thing act like it's still alive, And he says, "Watch." And Lance gone to the washroom, and he put something in there, I think. And then he came out and pushed his cart to the secretarial and the principal's office right there. And he went in there, and that shadow went right into that washroom, and then he came out, and then slowly moved inside that room, and that disappeared.
Wow.
Man, I want to see that like so bad. I still haven't seen it.
I said, "Did you tell?" I said, "Nope."
I didn't
I
tell.
don't want him to quit. He said, "I don't want to tell him." He said,
Wow.
He ended up leaving though, didn't he? Yeah.
"Oh yeah." And okay, you guys talked about seeing faces in there. He kept looking at his watch, and he says, "Come with me." All right. So went down there, and he kicked that boiler room door open and left everything open, and he went through the gymnasium. It was dark. He went through there, and he went out to the hallway, and we walked all the way to the back to the boys' bathroom, and teacher's lounge, the new one was back there. Used to be where they keep the equipment. So they made a teacher's lounge there.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and a coffee pod.
That the one where it had that brick wall that kind of went.
No, yeah, it had it. No, it had
was
one
like
of those.
about so high.
It had a office divider.
Yeah, divider. That's what it was.
Yeah, and so he was unlocking that door. He opened the door, and he started reaching for a light. And here comes this Indian girl out. I said, "What'd you do? Lock some kids in here?" Huh? And this little Indian girl like looking at us and walked by. And he said, "Don't move, champ." And he's still looking for that light. And then here this color kid came out with a basketball. And he was just giving Ben the dirtiest look.
Wow.
And then he turned to me. And I was like, there's a color kid down here, you know?
Yeah.
It's cool. And then he went on the hallway and he stood there.
This is a reservation school, so it's
Yeah.
mostly natives.
And he stood there and just stared at us. And then he walked off and I was like, what the? And there was the furthest room that goes that way and the hallway was kind of ways. And I was only maybe 10 feet away from the opening. Just when he disappeared, I ran out. Guess what? Nothing. It was like, he turned and looked at me. He said, "It happens every night."
Wow.
Yeah, he said
That's
it
the
was getting worse.
scary part, he said.
Man, it's funny that you mentioned this kid. He said he was a little boy because we were at that school before, and Joey had to use the restroom. I was like, well, I'll go too because I have to use the restroom. So he walked into the bathroom and I went into the stall, and then I heard Joey come out and he was washing his hands. And right when I opened the stall and I looked, he just stood there staring at the mirror with this look on his face, like his eyes were just wide open, and then the light shut off on us. And we both ran to the door and the switch was flicked. And when we looked out the hall, there was nobody down that way and nobody down that way. And he looked at me and I said, what? And he said, there was a little boy standing just off behind me. And he said he said he was black.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I remembered the stories, like people seeing this kid around, and we ran so fast down this hallway to get out of there.
Oh my God.
They
We
said,
thought Calvin was messing with it. We thought he shut the light off, so we went to go turn the light on. And he went and flicked the light back on and looked, and literally no one down the halls. There was nobody there.
And there's a legend that that kid committed suicide there.
yes, in a storage.
Right.
Yeah, hung himself.
Yeah.
And that's why they see this kid walking around there with a basketball, because he played basketball a lot then.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is we came over there again. He kind of got uneasy of going down there by himself, so I started going over there with him. And the funny thing is, we got over there and he says, "Do you want to go shoot around for a while?" I said, "Sure." So we started shooting around. "Let me go check the boiler," and he took off. So I started throwing ball, and then just when he came back from the boiler, I seen a ball bounce from the hallway
Yeah.
and hit the door and kind of went this way, and then a kid popped up, an Indian kid, and I was like, and I stood there watching, and I was like, "Do you see this?" And he says, "Hey, wait, champ!" And here, then I had that basketball. I could hold a basketball like a basketball
Yeah,
player.
I could do it
but
too.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
follow it.
And I grabbed it, and I was like, "Champ, don't!" And I went here, like, kid grabbed that basketball, and I was running. And he took off the stairs, and I chased him upstairs, and he was screaming, but I almost took his head off. And here he tripped, and he was on his hands and knees. As the room was right around the corner there, and here his grandmother came up.
Oh my gosh.
And Ben was stumbling and everything, trying to catch me.
Just a regular
I
kid.
remember hearing that one a long time ago.
And we finally went down, and he said, "Jam, there's people here." Oh man, I couldn't stop laughing. I went and got down there and started playing ball. Okay, and then after a while, and he says, "You know what? The funny thing about it," I said, "What's that?" "Somebody's playing basketball sometimes at night when I'm coming into the boiler."
You can hear the ball bouncing.
And at dark.
Oh,
Whoa.
God.
And
That just gave me chills.
half a year later, we were sitting there in his little office there next to the boiler, and waiting for that boiler to clear out. So, cause he cleans the clinkers and all that.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, and pretty soon I heard, and all like. I looked at him, and he's like, "It's starting."
Oh man.
I said, "Open that door," and he says, "No. I'm afraid somebody's gonna be standing right there."
Yeah, man. I wouldn't be able to do it.
I said, "Ben, open the door." And there was remember those dodgeball balls?
Yeah, those like rubber ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there was one there, and I grabbed it. And I was gonna floor this thing if it was right there. And then here, he opened the door and flipped it like that, and he stood to the side like that. That basketball made a basket and bounced and bounced and bounced, and it was coming at us.
Oh, what the heck?
It was bouncing, slower and slower. Then it was rolling to us. And
So your plan was to Peter LaFleur this freaking ghost in the face of the ball.
Yeah.
and I caught the ball, and I was already in the gym. I was looking to the side a little bit, and you can barely see. And can you flip the lights in here? And he says, no. He said, the switch is way over here. I was like, okay. What's going to happen if I throw that ball? Try it. So I took the ball and I threw it to the other basket. And it hit the stage. Missed it and hit the stage. It bounced and came back down, and then it hit the ground. It just bounced and stopped. And when it was stopping, guess what happened? It started rolling to one side like this and going that way, and then it started making a kind of like a half loop circle, huh? And started coming back to us.
Whoa.
Oh God.
And I looked at Ben and he says, "Let's get out of here."
I hated staying there at night, like playing basketball, because I'd be trying to play basketball. All I could feel was something watching us through those curtains in that stage. I'd always look back, but I couldn't help it. I had to look back and look at these curtains because, man, it just creeped you out.
Wow.
I tried to talk him into starting that early, or put a camera by that lounge, but he never did.
Man.
I remember even going there when we were a little older, and playing in the gym and stuff when he's cleaning at night. And I remember walking into where he had his screens and everything, his TVs. Walk in there and everybody be standing around it watching the screens because then you'd see something go by. Something go by the
weird.
screens. Oh, look, there's another one. Something go by. And there's nobody in there but us.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is like in the middle of the night. So it was just like a thing, just sit around the screen and watch. It's just
Wow.
creepy, man.
There is one I remember you telling about seeing a cook.
Oh, man, that one used to gross me out. Ben, when he saw that one in the kitchen.
Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Let's get to that one. We'll end there.
Really quick.
Just
throw
to
that
creep
story
people
in
out
there.
at home. Yeah.
You'd have to see the...
Okay.
We have time.
Yeah, we have time.
It was in the morning, and the cooks were doing their thing, he said. And it freaked him out because he was sitting there for a long time when I got there. And he says, "What's going on?" And he says, "Something happened this time. This time it's really bad." It happened during school. What? He said, "Yeah." He said, "Remember that mirror thing right there?" And I says, "Yeah." I threw the garbage out. I came back, and the ladies were back there talking. He said, and here I came right by, and I seen somebody's face. He said, "I stopped and backed up." He's like that. And he says, "This old lady's face looking at me in the mirror." And it's like, I froze, and I was like, stared, and then his face just turned really ugly, he said.
Show us Sidel, because this used to creep me out. Show him what the face looked like.
Okay, when he seen this lady, she said it was pretty at first. And then he said the face just it started changing really bad to it was so ugly. He said it freaked me out, he said, and then he said I took off. And he said I waited, and my mom, he said, she was still teaching there. I'm pretty sure she was. And he said, "I went and talked with her," and he said we had to he said, we talked with the family, and he said we had to feed the elders and pray.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tradition of Indian,
Right.
And and feed the elders.
When you
And-
see something, right?
yeah, and this old lady, he said, he kept describing it, and he said it was just, it's one of those movies, but worse. He said it sticks in his head.
Wow.
He sees it once he don't want to say it. He said he sees it,
Wow.
and he said I think he said he took that mirror down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, didn't he close his eyes and just run out of there after he seen it?
Yes, he freaked.
And he said it like opened his mouth like it was screaming, but nothing came out, like no noise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like and its mouth was like a little wider than
Yeah,
humanly possible,
Wow.
basically.
yeah, he was all.
Can you do the face?
He's not gonna do it. I remember I was listening to this story, and then when he did the face, I was like, "Oh god!"
I was there when he told it.
picturing it, and I was like,
I
oh,
think
God.
about it still. Dad's face.
But that place has history.
Yeah.
It's an old school.
And we've been trying to get into investigating there, but new management.
That won't.
Yeah, he doesn't. They didn't want us to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it was like, I get it, But what's funny is the person that's the principal there now, he actually caught something on camera at his house.
Oh, interesting.
And I heard the story from his sister.
Can we need to get
A
in touch?
phone call, and she told me the story. And it was just, it creeped me out because he saw something outside his house coming up to the cameras, and then up to the front or the door. And then it started making its way. And when it started making its way, the dog started barking at it.
Whoa.
And then it started going down the road. And that same night, Nova started growling and barking inside the house.
Wow.
And she never does that.
He lives in Hardin.
Ever. He lives by us.
Whoa.
And she started growling and barking toward the door. So she probably sensed it going by too.
Wow.
The same night.
We got to get in touch with them and see if it's possible to get down there and
Ugh, God, like hearing
investigate.
these stories, I'm
Yeah.
like, I just set the cameras up and wait outside.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But
because it'd be a big thing down this way if we were to go down there and investigate.
Because that's a big thing around here.
Yeah.
Is that place is
Everybody
really haunted.
Everybody knows about the Crow School,
Yeah.
about the hauntings.
the thing was that when I got laid,
I can reset this, can I?
Yeah.
that I got laid off, and I wanted to work down in the school with your uncle, and just clean up because they needed a cleaning up at night, and so I volunteered. And he says, you can volunteer, we'll put it in until they pay you. He says, but it's just a volunteer thing. I said, okay, but they'll only pay you this much. And I said, all right, I'll do it, And so the first night I went in there, everybody left, and I had the key, and he gave me the list of the rooms to do. So I went to this one room, and I start vacuuming, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I start vacuuming and stuff and that, and then you know how you working and something kind of goes like this.
Yeah.
I seen it, and I looked over to the hallway. I was like, did I see a shadow? And I'm not gonna let that scare me, so I just kept vacuuming and started giving. I was humming and I had music going on, of all things AC/DC, and and pretty soon it did it again. And then next thing you know, the hairs here, I start getting goosebumps really bad. And I said, hey, wait a minute. I'm not thinking about it, and this is already doing this.
Right.
And then it got cold.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh, wow. That's what the first thing they says, that it gets cold, that something's bad that's around. And this is during the summer. And I was like, I took off. And nothing's going to bother me. Kind of went out the hallway, kind of looked this way and that way. And it was cool. I started going down the stairs. It wasn't cold. It was just right there in that hallway, right there in the room, got cold.
Wow.
And I just kind of didn't want to have that fear. Then the thing will show itself. That's what I didn't want. So I walked in. I had to go through the boiler way in the back. That's where the car was.
I hated walking through there.
The gym was this way, but that was closed. I had to walk straight down and then this way, and I had to unlock the door and then go through there. And I was like, oh man, just keep it together, keep it there. Hopefully nobody's behind me, and just kept straight. And I was doing this, walking. And got to that, and then I opened that door, man. I bolted right outside, and I made sure that door was shut because that you know that holds the door from
The wedge?
yeah. Which when you open that door, that sucker drops.
Oh, that little
Oh,
leg.
yeah. They always kick it up, man. I put it back in and shut the door, and I go up in the Camaro and took off to the house and got your mom. And she says, "What is it?" I says, "Could you help me out?" And she looked at me because she knows the stories.
Yeah.
And she says, "What'd you see?" I said, "It got cold for no reason." Really? And I said, "Yeah." And I got hairs, everything just boom. And I seen something on the side of my eye. And she says, "Okay." And she said, "Here," she said, "let me get my tapes." And she got gospel. And we took off. And we finished that and all that and stuff. And then I felt better, because she was there. She said, "I'll do this room." And okay. And then everything was fine until we were done. We went outside. The last thing was the boys and girls bathroom. And it was the boys' bathroom, I think. I shut the lights off. She seen it from the car. I forgot the lights, I thought. And when I was doing something, I was double checking, I seen the lights were on. I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot. First thing.
Yeah.
I shut them off. I shut it off and went outside and shutting the door and, "Hey, Cham, that light is on." I looked like, "Dad, in here, the lights are on." I was like, "Is that the boys' or girls' bathroom?" She said, "The boys' bathroom." "Really? Did you see?" I wasn't paying attention. She said, "I just looked up and it was on." I said, "All right." I went in there. I shut it off. Shut there, stood there, watched it, nothing. And timed it, kind of like, give it about a couple minutes. Nothing. Walked. Got in the car. Lights turned on.
Whoa.
I looked at her and he said, "Don't go inside, just leave it alone." I said, "No, this is not going to scare me." I said, I went right back in there. I shut it off. And when I was coming through, I can hear your mom, "Cham, it turned back on."
Oh my gosh.
And he was playing with me. And I was like, "Stop." I was like, I came out. I was like, "What should I do?" And she said, "Just let it go, let it go." And it freaked her just a little bit. And I was like, "I'm going to do something." "What are you going to do?" I said, "Let me do this." I went back inside. I shut the light off, shut the door, locked it. It has a latch. And I stood there. I unlatched it, opened the door, turned the light on. I shut it, locked it, went outside. The light shut off.
It's like you Bugs Bunny did.
Mom says, you tricked it. And I was like, "That's freaky. I got to tell Ben this."
Yeah, I remember once we even
Oh, wow.
we used to go with you there when you guys used to clean. And I remember we'd sit out in the car and then you'd come out and then the lights would kick on. I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
I remember once he even thought Ben was messing with him. So he called Ben and Ben was at his house.
Yeah, I thought
He called his house phone and Ben was home.
I was going to get mad at him, remember?
Yeah, he thought Ben was messing with him. But he stood there and those lights kept kicking on. And Mom just, "Nope, not this time. Just leave it." So we left it, got in the car and went home. So I seen it myself. Like I saw it happen.
I went to school there.
I know you did. I think you were the only one that went to school there.
And I
I went
remember,
to school there.
I remember
too.
thinking about those stories all the time. There's times I had to stay after school, walk by the lunchroom, and watch them go into the bathroom myself.
Yeah, man, I hated that place. I remember going there and just get creeped out.
Me and Merle caught one thing. We went to there to work out one time, I think, and I had my first phone. It might have been like 15, 16 years old. And I was trying to like mess with them and say, "Do you think people believe this?" And stupid me trying to make like a fake ghost video. and I was recording along the stairs, and then there were some kids in that room, and I just kind of passed it, and then just kept walking, kind of pass off the kids as a ghost. And Merle was like, "What the heck is that?" And he's like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, I was just
I
messing.
remember this.
I was like, "I'm just messing around." I said, "Those are kids, actual kids." And he's like, "No." He said, "On the stairs."
Yeah.
And I said, "What?" And he said, "On the stairs." And he said, "Did you make that happen?" I was like, "What?" And I looked back on it, and on the stairs, when I passed by it, there was a red figure on the stairs.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
It looked like
it
like a woman in a dress almost, just standing there by the stairs by the rail, and it was kind of like coming down to me when I was passing it, and I freaked out. And that I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I actually did catch something, trying to make
he was
something
trying
stupid.
to be dumb and act like he caught little kids on the camera like they were ghosts, and he actually caught something on the stairs. And I remember them even showing us like, no, we were trying to like be stupid and like act like these kids were ghosts.
Yeah.
When he turned, you could see something on the steps. I remember that. I remember seeing that.
It was scary.
Oh man, that's gross.
Well, was that all we got for now? You got another one?
I think okay. The little Indian girl had a story to that one.
Oh yeah.
That I
remember
found
this
out years
story,
later. That little Indian girl was over at the Head Start, and you guys, grandma, is the one I was talking about, that Indian girl. And when they described that Indian girl, it was the same Indian girl in the Head Start, and during the day. And they sometimes see her down the hallway at the Head Start. And here, towards when she was working there, before she left, she said, we found out who that girl was. She said they took a class picture, and she was real close with this one little girl.
She was in the picture.
She was in the picture, yeah. They caught her in a picture. And after they took the picture, and you know how they sent it with you, and she got it to the house, I guess, and here when the grandma was looking at it, and she just almost had a heart attack there. She says, "Oh my God, what am I doing in that picture?"
Wow.
It was her granddaughter she was standing by in the picture. The ghost was standing by her granddaughter, and the ghost was still alive.
Wow.
She was
the person.
She was an old woman now, but it was like her spirit still was seen in those schools.
I just got the
Now,
chills.
how do you explain that?
Yeah, that's what she couldn't explain either.
And that ghost has been infamous in the school
Yeah.
for years.
Now-
But it's not a mean ghost. It was a.
And it's not only inside of the Crow School; it's inside of the Head Start
Yeah.
as well.
It's a kind.
And these two
Girl.
places are really close to each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Now, like, I've heard that story, and I was like, that's so weird. That's the weirdest thing, until Amy Allen had
Oh,
the same
right.
situation
This is
when
a-
she was investigating a house that a murder happened in. And the ghost that was in that house was someone that was in prison.
Yeah. And he murdered the owner of that house.
Oh, that's crazy.
And she went to meet him, and she didn't meet him yet. And the guy she investigates with, the police dude, the investigator, he went and visited him in prison, and he had his picture brought to the place and at the end of the investigation. And she had him a sketch artist draw out the ghost she was seeing, but she said she knows he's not dead. He's here somewhere. And they revealed them together, and it's the same person.
Oh man.
Everything perfectly.
Yeah, so it was like he did something so bad, and he was like so like whatever it was, those emotions and everything, like almost like imprinted on that house, and it was still there, and he was in prison.
Right.
So like he left that there.
What it was talk about that seemed that person is still alive is the thing happened with me with relatives that see me in a bar.
Really?
And they said they talked to me, and I just smiled. And he said, "You're being stuck up." They said, but I didn't say anything. They said I just smiled, and they said I was just moseying on. And when they came back from that in Billings, and they came across me, gassing up, here in Hardin right after work. And they came and he says, how'd you get down here so fast? You know, I was like, what? We didn't know they were driving that car. It's just that you were driving your Trans Am.
Oh, that's weird.
I was
Wow.
like, I just got off work. And their face was just like dumbfounded that.
And that's a very recognizable Trans Am.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
says, what's going on? He says, you were in a bar, your Trans Am was parked. And he said, hey, you know, he's here. You know, let's go catch him. And here they caught me, and it wasn't me. It was me, but I wasn't there.
It was in your car. That's weird.
Now that is like really weird because that car is like one of the most recognizable cars.
Right.
Like if anybody's ever seen was it Smokey and the Bandit, is that same exact car with the Firebird on it and everything.
Yeah. And this one was black too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they just totally freaked when they see me
Now that
gassing
is
up
a weird one.
in my pickup, my little pickup. And they were like, you know, all dumbfounded.
Now that's a strange
Wow.
one.
That is a strange one.
Yeah.
And this car, I think you remember you mentioning it when I was a kid. You guys called it the ghost car or something. And this car would take off on its own when you were driving it.
Yeah, that was the Wildcat. And
Oh yeah, okay.
that car was the guy was wealthy, but the car that was from, I think it was from Huntley junkyard, and a person took that car and put money into it, and they kept the receipts from day one
Wow.
from the junkyard.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says, here's all the receipts. When I was talking to your uncle's sister, and he's making a trade with it, me. So I wanted that Wildcat, same age as me,
I remember that. Yeah.
same age as me. You know,
I remember when you
And-
got it.
I remember the seats are always sticky and my trunks and couldn't wear not a shirt in there.
Because the leather.
Yeah, I always had to wear a shirt and pants in there.
And they said it had a history of the car. It had a police report in a cubbyhole, and I seen it, and it said the car drove itself out of gear, out of the parking lot.
What the heck?
Yeah, and they think it was malfunctioning.
Uh-huh.
And they said it actually, a kid was still in it. And they said there's no way that little kid could have put it in gear and backed up and went around these cars and then go and start to the street.
Wow.
So it backed up.
It was
and
just a
pulled
little
out.
kid. Yeah, just a little kid. I think they said the kid was about 3, 4.
Wow. Yeah.
There's no way that the kid can do that. The police officer that stated in that report. And
Because you got to get down there and do the brake and then the.
And then shift it
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
throw it in and then, yeah.
yeah, so in here, I didn't really pay attention to the receipts, and I was just paying attention to the car. And then when I was going through the cubbyhole that one day, I took everything out, and I was like, wow, and then the thing happened to us. He was at the house. Car was parked there for maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Never touched it. And then they said the engine started up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The engine started up, it revved up, and it shut off. And then I think it was your mom that told me that the engine started up and it revved up and it shut off. I was like, what? Your car's
We used to call that car Christine.
Yeah.
possessed, and what happened? He said the lights wouldn't shut off, and finally got it to shut off. The doors were locked, but the motor started up. I'm like, what? And I checked everything on it. When I had time, I checked all the wiring and stuff, and just to be safe, I took the battery pulse off. Okay. Next thing you knew, when I came home, the car was parked way over there.
What the heck?
I was like, what's going on here? Someone over there and popped the hood. The battery was still unhooked.
What the heck?
The car moved.
That's freaking weird.
So what I did is park it down a hill, and if it slips, it'll make a tuk 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 tuk. That sucker was in gear and everything. I was like, there's nothing wrong with the gear. So I took it to the shop up here in Hardin that I go through, and they went through it, and he says there's nothing wrong with it. He said, your gear locks really good. And I was like, really? What did it do? And I told him, okay, you want to see something spooky? I took that report and showed him. I was like, really? I was like, yeah.
Wow.
Your car is possessed? There is cars that do that. They're attached. He says, where was your car from? I says, I think it was Huntley. I'm not sure. I said, a junkyard. And I says, when I went through the what they put in, they put everything in. Engine, transmission, rear end, this, that, and all the stuff. And then to the pass, and then to the next one, and then to me. And they put 12,000 into that car.
Wow.
Of parts that are from not brand new, from junkyards and stuff. And
It was a nice car.
It was a nice
It had a
car.
roll cage inside.
Man, I love that car.
I hit my head on the roll cage all the time. Like, dunk. That chrome.
that's
Are the chrome bars that are inside? What are those?
no. You're
Thinking
talking
of the other car.
You're,
Am I?
you're talking about the 75 Cutlass.
Yeah.
It had the silver.
You're
I thought it was a
thinking of
It had
Wildcat.
the roll bar in it.
Yeah, you're thinking of the other one.
Oh, interesting.
This is the red one that had like the.
Yeah, I remember
the
that.
fins and
Yeah, I remember the
kinda come
Wildcat.
up and-
Yeah.
that was that. And they had like the cream colored seats and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that car.
Oh, Mom said the same thing too. She said the seat would be up, or the seat will be all the way back.
Wow, weird.
Yeah,
By everything by itself.
yeah.
Nobody in there moving it. It would just sit there, level ground, and things would happen.
I wonder where this car is now.
I can't remember. I remember Aaron got a hold of it, and then Aaron sold it, I think. And
No, one of the
I think it was in Billings.
no. One of the relatives bought it, and he had it on the street there for a long time, and somebody overed some money for that person from Billings,
Yeah.
and then they're never seen it.
I saw it in Billings.
I seen-
It
I
was
seen-
parked at a house.
Yeah, I seen something like that too. I thought it was.
I still think I know where it is. too,
Probably.
so I could probably find it.
I remember seeing a Wildcat and telling Alethea that my dad used to own a Wildcat, just like that one.
Yeah.
Could have been the one.
Yeah, man, that car was nice. I love that car.
Yeah.
Well, if that's all we got, we went for 2 hours in this one. Well, we'll end the podcast there. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And this was a Bigfoot / ghost stories podcast, and I think it turned out pretty well. And we will see
This
you.
is only just a little bit of what we heard growing up,
Yeah.
too. So
So my dad's going to be back on the podcast, and we'll get some more stories out of him, more speculation. He's a really good speculator too. I think we should have him back on the podcast as a regular. But the next podcast, I think we should continue with the Bigfoot and go into the Russian hikers that that died from
Dyatlov Pass
yeah,
incident?
and give our speculation on that.
Okay.
So that being said, I'll see you guys next week. Or actually, I think we're going to put out more than podcasts coming up now because we have all these banked.
We have a couple banked and lined up. They were just haven't had time to actually
Yeah.
put them out. So
So I think we'll just put them out all in the same week and
Yeah,
see what
we
happens.
just start tossing them out.
Right. So that being said, first time I said that in 2 hours. My name is Sid Elinik. This is our dad, Al Takes the Horse, or Champ. And this is Marcus with the Beats. And you're listening to Fallen Hour Radio.